Or actually, where was he? He was down in Florida. The Supreme Court stopped the democratic process and declared Trump the winner by stopping the recount in Florida. What we want to talk about today is a simple code used by the secret societies that occupy Washington, D.C. If you do not know, D.C. is known as the Masonic City. The Masonic City. George Washington, who it's named after, the Freemason. Again, on the outside of the House of the Temple in D.C., it's written, all is number. All is number.
Yes, it is.
On the outside of that temple, there are 33 columns that are each 33 feet tall. What happened 33 years before September 11th, 2001? If you did not know this, please look up this because it's all facts. 33 years before 9/11, in 1968, 911 was made the national emergency dialing code. World Trade Center construction began in New York. George W. Bush graduated from the powerful secret society Yale Skull and Bones, the same one his father went to. That was the same year that Boeing debuted their jumbo jetliners in Seattle. That was the same year that Muhammad Atta was born, one of 19 hijackers, they said, born on the first day of the 9th month, 1-9. If you look into 1968, you'll find that that was the year the Quran Code was discovered. The Quran Code says the number 19 is what ties
Rambo's
the Quran together. Every number in the book is divisible by 19, including the 114 surats that make it up. 19. Of course, we had COVID-19 19 years later, but that's another story we'll get to. Now, here's what brings this all together. Again, 33 years before 9/11, all these things happened in 68. The Masons, the Jesuits, they observe an ancient code that goes back to Babylon that is about numbers. There's a belief in Kabbalah. If you look up the Book of Formation, the Kabbalistic text, if you look up the Zohar, it is written that God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. It's much like Genesis 1, where God speaks the world into existence over numbered days. Again, Genesis 11:9 is where the story of the Tower of Babel ends, the tower that divides the world. And of course, that book represents the Abrahamic religions, which are Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And think about what happened right after 9/11. You had the leader of Israel, Ehud Barak, get on our TV and tell us to declare a war against Muslim nations. And then you had George W. Bush, the Skull and Bones member, get on and talk about a crusade, which should remind us of the Knights Templar. And if you are not familiar with the powerful secret society at Yale Skull and Bones, they are modeled after the Knights Templar. They get their symbolism from how the Templars bury their dead in an ossuary. This stuff is not an accident. Now, this secret code, which has been on Jeopardy recently, they're even starting to put this on TV. Comedy Central just made fun of it on August 11th. Jimmy Kimmel just made fun of it in July, and it's because people are starting to catch on. But there's a simple code of letters. And numbers. It's based on the alphabetic order which you learned in kindergarten. The word secrecy equals 33. The word order equals 33. The word federal equals 33. New York equals 33. 33 years after 1968, the towers come down. Here's another thing that equals 33. False flag. False flag. Here's another thing that equals 33. Pirate. If you do not know who Yale Skull and Bones are, look up their symbol. The skull with the crossbones, which you associate with pirates. If you don't know the history of the Knights Templar, they're where the Friday the 13th superstition came from. They were burned at the stake for worshiping Satan. They then fled France and became pirates. They became pirates. One more time, you guys. 1968, the plan went into motion. 33 years later, the towers come down in gematria. False flag, pirate, secrecy, order, masonry, federal, New York, they're all 33. All of them. Every last one. Look into the Fraternal Order of Police. Police equals 33. For the last 20 years, every time I go to speak out about stuff like this, shout out to the NYPD because they're not doing it, but the police are always here to shut me down. It's the police that want to silence me for speaking the truth. And in reality, I'm speaking it for all of us. I knew when I was 18, if we didn't get justice for the lies of 9/11, things would be real ugly. And for 10 years before 2020, I said if we don't wake up, there's going to be something real bad 19 years after 9/11. I want you to think about this. Every 19 years, you guys, it's important. The moon is on a 19-year cycle. That's why the Hebrew calendar, the holidays, fall on the same day every 19 years. In gematria, chaos equals 19. The Masonic motto is order out of chaos. But here's 19 years. Think about this. 2020, we had the war on germs. That was really a war on us, our businesses, our rights and liberties, our bodily sovereignty. 19 years earlier, of course, was the war on terror. That was also a war on us. We lost our rights and liberties. A surveillance state was put in place. The Constitution was referred to by Bush as nothing but a piece of paper, and he wasn't joking. You know what happened 19 years before 9/11? It was 1982. That was the year the war on drugs was declared, and that was also a war on your personal freedom. If you can't choose what you do with your own body, you're not free.
That's a fact. Yeah. That's a fact. Yeah.
1963, JFK got his head blown off. That was 19 years before 82. That was the war on courage. My parents were children back then. What they learned, like a lot of Americans, is if you speak out, you might get your head blown off. So you might as well just tuck your head like a turtle and walk along with the pack and go along with the lies of big authority. And I see a lot of people doing that today as they just walk by as some of the most important truths are dropped on their head. We call those truth bombs. And they're a lot more important than the bombs that went off on 9/11 that were blamed on a boogeyman in a cage.
Talk your shit, Zach.
1944 was 19 years before that. How many troops did we send off for the lies of World War II to be slaughtered? A lot in 44. And the list goes on, you guys. That means 2039 is going to be 19 years after the war on germs, and I hope by then enough people have woken up that we've shut down their sinister pattern.
Yes, sir.
Here's another thing I want to tell you about. I want to explain to you why there's one World Trade Center now. As you know, there used to be two World Trade Centers. There used to be two. Then there became zero. Then there became one. 201.
You were bringing them.
Why does that matter? That number should be ringing in everybody's head right now, 201. The reason it's not is because your media doesn't tell you anything but lies and fear to control you. How many of you know about Event 201, the coronavirus pandemic simulation, 1 month before the outbreak in Wuhan, China, put on the same day the military World Games began in Wuhan, China? If you look into the history of the military World Games, they are credited to the Jesuit order. If you look into Event 201, it was led by Klaus Schwab, who was a Jesuit priest. It was also led by the Johns Hopkins University, which was founded by Daniel Coit Gilman, a Skull and Bones member. And as I said a moment ago, Skull and Bones is modeled after the Knights Templar. Of course, the Templars are the old military order of the Catholic Church. The new military order of the Catholic Church is the Jesuits, and that's why the Templar cross is in their logo. Now understand, we are living in the time of the first Jesuit Pope, Pope Francis. He is the first to live in Suite 201 at the Vatican. This is not arbitrary that he lives in Suite 201. Again, learn gematria, the simple practice of coding numbers into words. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, up to Z, the 26th letter is 26. If you write out the birth name of Pope Francis, Jorge Mario Bergoglio, it equals 201. If you write out the founder of the Jesuits, Ignatius of Loyola, his name